Hey everyone, I'd like to touch on what I mentioned in my last video. The last video was on sports for discipline and growth, and the difference between that and sports for fun. What I wanted to do was elaborate a little bit more on because it was a short video, 20 minutes, and I'd like to keep this as short too. There's a lot of other little videos I'd like to make on certain thoughts I have and views on certain things, which have helped me out over the years as a parent and as a martial arts instructor, and have been able to help a lot of the kids that come to the school. I'd say quite a bit of the kids that come to the school. So I want to touch on certain areas that help facilitate parents making the right discerning between the two. Not making the right choices necessarily, but discerning between the one from the other, because when you put things in perspective, it gives you a much clearer picture and a better purpose behind what we do. As a parent, though, excuse me, as a parent and as a martial artist, I wore two hats. And one was always the disciplinary side. The other one was the the side that, as a dad, that had to give both the disciplinary and the love at the same time, right? So it was always a little touch and go between the two. So it was always sometimes felt like I was walking on thin ice. All right. So what I want to do is maybe help parents put things in perspective, because people have this preconceived notion that this is what this is because they heard it on some form of media, radio, newspaper, social media, Facebook, whatever, etc., or television. And people go by that. Very few people go by what they have literally read. Read meaning from a book, from a study, from a real study, or followed studies. And I've subscribed many years to journals, and followed a lot of the university studies that had been done on kids' growth in sports and what kind of sports influence and affect their lives, right? It's a huge subject, and this is what helps kids. Hopefully this will help you out and help you out with the way that you view things. Parents, people that listen to things through other people, and I never took anything anybody said for fact ever, especially people that just didn't do any study on it, any work on it, any research on it, and because it's very easy to get misled and just say the things that other people have said, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a position where it's not working out the way you thought it would work out. The effect is not the same as what you thought it was going to be. Like I said, I just want to put things in perspective. I don't want to discriminate one from the other. That's not the purpose of these videos. This is just to help parents understand, what differences are and how to discern better and put things in perspective. This way it gives you greater purpose. So when you do put your kid in this, you know why you're putting him in this. And when you do put your kid in that, you know why you're putting him in that. It's always for a good balance. Personally and biasly, I don't know whether it's biased or not, because I have played other sports all my life. I've also coached hockey, for a while, and been active, and also had my kids participate in other sports too. So I can't say necessarily it's bias only to the martial arts. It's not. Although there is a bit of bias, yes. Only because of the results I've seen for myself and for my kids, and and the kids that I've taught all, for many years, the ones that have been with me for many years, and they're still with me. So, yes, it is slightly biased, but I think every kid should be enrolled in a martial arts school. Now, what kind of martial arts school? One that, that's a completely different topic, and one that's going to require quite a bit of a dissecting. That's not the purpose of this video. Yes, they need to be in a martial arts school, because that is part of what a martial arts school offers, and the benefits, one of the many myriad of benefits, is growth. The difference between a school, a combative school, and a institution of sport for fun is growth. Now, with the exception of a few institutions like gymnastics, uh, and I dare say even dance, because dance can be very frustrating. I know my daughter teaches dance today, and she was in dance and in the school in the my martial arts academy. Both her and my son, since they started walking, and dance is just as hard because you need serious discipline and work and training at it. It's not just let's kick this ball around or throw this puck around. No, you have to literally own your body's movements, and that requires discipline. So there are a few things, but again, you can dance all you want. You can't fight your way out of a wet paper bag, because nothing is more scary than a violent confrontation. This is where the world is held at grips. This is why we have armies and why we have law enforcement. So what are the differences, to put in perspective one from the other? Okay, well, a combative school offers growth immediately. It is about growth, and it is a constant challenge right off the bat, because in life, in the real world, okay, you are who you are, and you expose to yourself and to others who you are under pressure. Now, naturally, not every kid is equipped with a type of character under pressure where between fight or flight they have fight. Very few kids from young have that ability. The majority are flight, state of shock, and then they go back to their homes. They feel traumatized, and that's where it starts from a very, very, very young age. And that's where it also starts for the predator, the other disturbed character, or the bully. If that's not put into check, well, then he just goes to reinforce these positions, and then he becomes a corporate bully, in the rest of his life. A bully with his wife, with his friends, at work, and he'll take it out. He'll take out whatever misery he feels on the inside, through his profession. And the rest who have been victimized, in their lives will become, more and more victims of that particular individual. This cycle just keeps going on unless it's broken from very, very young. So a combative school compared to a sport, the benefits of that is it begins with personal growth right off the bat. And personal growth is huge even for a kid of 3-4 years old. It's all about growth. They learn growth physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's what parents are there for. Having said that, I do want to congratulate all you parents for having done such a great job with your kids. And I know it's tough at times, especially for the single parents, and even today with the organic family, given the distraction kids see. I've seen that you guys have done an amazing job. The kids are absolutely amazing at the school. It makes my job even easier, and I get to tackle the issues that you can't tackle on your kids at home. That's not your profession. That's my expertise, right? So I have to say, because you're doing such a great job, they ask such great questions at times. It basically shows, the involvement that you have with your kids, and that's very important. So going back, martial arts immediately works on growth of a kid, and that kid starts learning a lot about himself. And the first thing they do is in all militaries, they kind of like break you down, right? So they can rebuild you up again. They break down your ego. They break down who you think you are. They break down, the person that false persona that you have about yourself, and then rebuild you up there. Well, in the martial arts, if a kid starts very young, he's already broken down because he hasn't developed a pseudo concept about himself, a pseudo persona, some idea of who he thinks he is. He doesn't know any better, right? They don't know any better. The parents will teach, morals and ethics at home. The third party teacher will put the discipline and reinforce those morals and ethics and build him from a different perspective, right? He'll put him through the pressures of training and teach him that to be challenged is a good thing, because life will challenge them at a very, very early stage, especially today, right out of the daycare. For most people who do put their kids in the daycare, it's challenging off the bat. I can't tell you how many kids and parents have come to me telling me that their kid is, has been bullied, pushed, this, that, consistently by the same kid. And some teachers can't do anything about it because that kid is just constantly like that. And to a teacher, who really wants the headache? I have to deal with that kid that comes and then deal with this crybaby that's sitting there. Okay, guys, go there, and then they come back. Well, and do you really want your 4-year-old or 3-year-old, punching another kid? Nobody does. We want the teacher to do their job. But at the same time, we don't want to, while we teach 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds how to punch and how to kick and how to elbow, how to knee, how to take down or whatever, we don't advocate those are the steps that they should take. We advocate, other steps to take prior to getting there, the way that they talk, the way that they answer, the way that, that way. And that's growth. That's starting to get to know yourself. That takes time though, right? Especially at 3 years old. They're developing there's a character within a child. It's based on nurture and based in nature. As a person, as that character by nature, and the way that they are nurtured also plays a big role. Now, growth starts immediately in the martial arts school, at least in my martial arts school. Why? Because they have to confront themselves. Now, for different ages, it's different. It's a different experience. You get a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old that's already developed some type of persona about himself, or some sense of idea of who he thinks he is, because he's bullied other kids through his years, or his friends see him as this, or he equates himself with something he's seen on YouTube, which is very dangerous for kids to be on social media. I really come down on my kids at school, especially the older ones, to get off of social media. This is one nasty world to be in, that just corrupts your soul, man. It just really does. It corrupts your mind, your perception of things in life, and you're living in a make-believe world as opposed to actually doing something that is real, that gives you real gratification. And that takes work. Well, the earlier a kid starts, this is why I say to parents, they should do both. But if they had to do one thing and one thing only, I would definitely say martial arts. Definitely. Find a damn good martial arts school where the teacher is damn good, he's strict, he's well balanced, and they actually learn functional stuff. Things that they can use in the real world, that they do instinctively. Can't tell you how many kids come from other schools that years in some particular karate school or whatever, and they still can't kick. Or in some other grappling school and they can't even bridge properly. So I'm just, slight examples. I'm not saying the better grappling schools obviously have better, more discipline. So it's important that these kids understand from a very, very young age, behavior with function. Now, they get to know themselves off the bat. The difference between the two is that while it's very important for them to do both, one will teach you growth immediately. It'll make you confront yourself, or confront a side that you weren't comfortable with. The child is not comfortable. That's exactly what we want. We want them to be uncomfortable and then to feel comfortable being uncomfortable. This is what the Spartans used to say, making themselves feel common in an uncommon place. Being comfortable in the completely uncomfortable, making the uncommon seem common to them. Like they'd be on the battlefield, they would look at their enemy and they were completely calm. Completely calm. The equivalent of a professional athlete, professional gymnast, professional runner, individual athletes, those that get on there and, they are so focused and so calm, they have total control over their muscular contractions in their brain and their energy right there. That's training. Well, the Spartans were the same way, only in a much more extreme, because it's one thing to run a marathon, ain't nobody going to punch you in the face. It's another thing to be in the battlefield where you're going to get scathed, cut, mangled, and you're ready to accept this and you're calm. Fear has not put you in its grips. That's the difference. And this is what martial arts do. It confronts the kid in stages. It confronts the kid with himself. The younger one confronts a new self because he didn't know he could do it, and then he realizes he could do it. I've got 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds bunny hopping left and right in the school. I mean, those are tough exercises, man. I mean, like constantly, because they find it challenging, because they realize that this challenge is normal. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm discovering a side of me that I'm taking things I'm looking at things from a different perspective. That's young. And you get the other ones that come in at 10 years old who have a better perception about things and know what difficult is and easy is. And then they start doing bunny hops and they're seeing the 4-year-old run back and forth. These guys are like struggling now and they're going, oof, my God, man. Oh my God, this is hard, because I can rationalize between frustration as I get older and fatigue and the effects of fatigue on my brain and on my body. You see, whereas a younger kid will look at it from, it's just another day of work. Give me another challenge. Whereas you can't get that on the soccer field. So to be able to distinguish between the two and say, he's there for fun. And if he gets somewhere, that's great. And if he doesn't, he's having fun. And that's what I need to encourage in them. Do your best, absolutely, on the soccer field, but have fun. Have fun. Do your best. If you want to get further into it, that's fantastic. Another piece of advice is, while parents, there are 2 schools of thought that I have read over the years. One school of thought, between some therapists, say kids should do as many sports as possible, as whatever. There's other therapists that have proven the complete opposite. Master of everything, good at none, and nothing to look back at and say, I've actually acquired a skill. Whereas you see, because there are the university studies that have shown long-term effects of somebody who's been in one particular sport all their lives and what it has gone. They've lived through the monotony, the boredom, the repetition, the repetitiveness, and frustrations, and all sorts of other emotions that come with that sport, in terms of living through that sport, trying to get better at that sport. Don't let your kid become master of everything, good at none. He likes this. You like soccer? Cool. You really like soccer? Cool. That's what you're going to go do. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're doing for the summer or whatever. Now, you like martial arts? Whether you like martial arts or not, my opinion is they should do martial arts. Those especially that don't want to do it should be encouraged to do it more than the ones that are ready to do it. I've had kids come into my class that just brand new kids, I didn't even know who they were, just walked right in. Parents knew, my doors are open to everybody. There's no particular appointment that you need to make. Bring your kid in. I want to see how he is when he enters the class, And I've seen them come in with such a bravado. And I go, that's awesome. And then I've seen the opposite. I've seen a kid who wants to come into the school, really, really wants to come in there. Their friends are in there too, and can't get herself through the door. Then she finally he gets himself through the door, and they can't get themselves on the mats to do what everybody else is, despite how we try to make them feel as comfortable as possible. That child needs personal growth too. Absolutely. Every one of them does. That's the difference between the challenge. They have to challenge themselves. Now, I give credit to those type of parents because they constantly will bring them in. And they know it's a delicate, because I speak with the parents. So I let them understand that it is at that age, it's a delicate scenario. They cannot enable the child, but they have to also, keep pushing slowly and encouraging to get themselves in there. The child's actually fighting itself on the inside, But that is part of the growth process that you will not get in a regular sport. In the sport that, when you do put your kid in a regular sport like hockey and soccer, in the beginning stages, lay off of them. They're there for fun. Encourage them to have fun. Encourage them to give their best, and they're all in while they're playing. This is a sport. This is not discovering themselves. Half of the time they're on the bench. There's no half of the time on the bench in my school, in most martial arts schools. They're working their asses off. Growth begins there. I'm going to do another video just to accentuate a little bit more on that and what they encounter along the way. But that's the difference. Growth begins immediately. They find the frustration in the push-ups. They can't do them, but they're watching everybody else do them. But they have to then they're told that, well, everybody started where you are, but they got to fight that, and they get a feeling on the inside, yeah, but I want to do them immediately and I can't do them, so I have two choices: fight or flight. I'm either out or I'm in. Most kids will stay in, and they'll struggle and they'll struggle, and they learn to struggle. They learn to make the uncommonplace seem common, just like the Spartans used to say, and learn to be calm and understand that failing and feeling these frustrations is normal. Living on them and nurturing frustrations is not healthy. What is and what isn't healthy. And I look at my kids sometimes and I'm completely blown away at how well they receive these messages, because we do a lot of talking at school, how well they receive these messages and accept the challenge, because that's exactly what it is, and can distinguish between one and the other. And what's important to have a little bit of both, because not a little bit of both, sorry. What's important to have a lot of martial arts, a lot of personal growth, sport, activity, and why it's important to have the other side, which gives you the fun back. There's, in the beginning, no particular challenge. And I see overzealous parents that push, they put their 5-year-old kid in hockey or soccer or whatever and go, come on, buddy, you can do it, kick the ball, buddy. There's a difference between encouragement and another thing between overzealous stuff, putting pressure on a kid too right off the bat, especially in a fun sport. No, they're playing soccer for 10 years now. Yeah, you can be a little bit, like, come on, dude, you can do this, you can do it, whatever. And really push it a little bit. But in the beginning, it's all about fun, those things, and to have a good balance between one and the other. So that was just to touch on, why martial arts is the preferred, is the way to go. Because it touches on the kid's personal growth immediately. Immediately the kid, slams into himself and starts discovering that he's actually weak. Strong in some parts, weak in the others. And they only want to accentuate and touch on only the strong parts because that's what makes him feel good. But it's not about how you feel. It's about what you know about yourself. This is why this feel culture, today is tearing society apart with the way I feel. Nobody gives a shit about the way you feel or your child feels. They care about everything else that revolves around them too. The way that they behave, the way that they act towards others, the way that they receive certain stimulus and how they react to it. Who you are under pressure and how you react under pressure is what we learn. You can be a professional, an Ironman, world champion. It doesn't mean you can confront violent situations like we do, and handle them properly, in calm if something like that arises. We do that. Those stresses are multiplied. So we learn how to deal with those calmly. This is what a kid learns how to deal with as he goes into school. He can take this and bring it into school, into life, into his daily routine. And because he gets to know himself a little bit more day by day by day by day, those things are the things that give him his confidence, his encouragement in self, to be able to go out and deal with the various people and teachers and homework and this, because he always digs deep down inside to find that inspiration with himself. So I hope this helped you out a little bit. That's just one part of where I wanted to go on. On the next one, I'd like to accentuate a little bit more in terms of what it is to confront, to be under pressure, and what the challenges are and what the benefits are in terms of a martial arts school, compared to, let's say, a social club like soccer or hockey or whatever, especially in the beginning stages, and then after as they grow, and the importance of growing skill in life outside of just like academic stuff. And also, what roles schools play today, academic schools play today, and the challenges that families face, in these times with that. And the challenges that kids face in schools with the institution itself. That's something that we're going to talk about as well, that I've seen that has disturbed me for the last 10 years. I just thank God that my kids are out of the elementary and high school institutions and on their way to doing their own lives. So I hope this helps, and if it does, again, you can share it with other people to just give broader perspective. This is not about making the right choices, but having perspective about things. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Help it out. And that's that. I'll catch you guys soon.